Hello people, and today welcome to another Roblox Studio tutorial. And today I'm going to show you how to make this map voting system. Last time I made that video, this was used by touching the pads to vote a map. Now for today's video, I'm going to show you how to make that same thing from the video but in the GUI. So I can vote the buttons to vote a map. So I'm going to pick grass, and for 1 second, the grass should be in the map. So there's a grass map. And yeah, I'm going to show you how to make this GUI version of the map voting system. Enjoy! So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to make the GUI for the map voting system. So let's insert a screen GUI in the starter GUI, and we're going to name this one main GUI. Oh yeah, reset on spawn, disabled. Next, we will insert a frame in the main GUI, and this is going to be our voting frame. So name this voting frame. So let's go ahead and set this thing up. So we're going to set the anchor point to this, and I'm going to set the position to this, and I'm going to change the size to a bit like this. Now this is going to be my only customization. You may change it whatever you want for your liking. So I'm going to change the background to a grayish color. I'm going to remove some borders to it, and I'm going to insert a UI aspect ratio constraint. And for this, I'm going to change it to 2.7. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to add the pads, the button for the map voting system. So let's go ahead and insert a image button in there. And this is going to be our pad. So we're naming this one pad 1. Then what we do is we're going to insert a UI grid layout. And this will set all the UI objects in the voting frame to change by the grid layout. So we're going to change the padding a bit, so I'm going to change this to this. And I'm going to change the cell size to this kind of size, like that. And then I'm going to change the horizontal and vertical alignments to the center of the voting frame. And that's the setup. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to customize the pads up. So what am I going to do? So I'm going to change the background color to a darker color. And I know you can't see it, so I'm going to remove the image here. And I'm going to change the background transparency to this. Now for the borders, I would recommend this is going to be important for the map voting system, because in the video, this is going to be where you're going to pick your vote. And if it's green, that's your current vote. And for that, let's go and do it. So our original border color is going to be black. And for the border size pixel, I will make it thick. And for this, I'm going to insert a UI aspect ratio constraint, so it will make it a bit square. Next thing for the pads, we're going to add some text to the pad. So let's go ahead and insert 2 text labels. So one of them is going to be map name, and this one's going to be votes. Now these 2 texts will be very important because this will display some information for the pad. So let's go ahead and customize them. Now we have officially made our first pad. Let's go ahead and copy this one 2 times. So I'm going to duplicate this 1, 2, and this one we're going to rename all of them. So we're going to rename this one to pad 2, and this one should be pad 3. And there you go. That's our 3 pads. Now one last thing I would like to add is we're going to set all the pads layout order to their name numbers. So if pad 1 has 1 in the name, we're going to change the layout order to 1, and the same thing for all of them. Layout 2, this should be 2. Layout 3, this should be 3. And there you go, our pads are now set up. Completion. Now to make the text that shows on the top of the screen, we're going to insert a text label in the main GUI, and this will be called the status. Let's go ahead and position this on the top. So we're going to do this. I know you can't see it, so I'm gonna put it to 0 so you can visualize this where you can see it. Remove the background for a bit. Position this to the top center, and I'm gonna set the size to like this. And then I'm going to scale up the text scale, and I'm gonna change this to Gotham any font if you wish. Then we're gonna change the color to white, black with borders, and that's our status. Okay, so now I'm gonna set the anchor point to 1. Now that we have made our GUI for the map phone, let's go ahead and make some maps. So I officially made 3 maps. They are very simple, but that's for the sake for these examples. I would recommend to put these maps in like a model, so it will be stored very organizable. Now, if you already have maps, we're going to insert a folder in the replicate storage, and we're going to name it maps. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab all our maps, and we're going to grab all of them in default maps folder. So this will be stored as you. Next up, let's go ahead and add another folder called events. And then what we're going to do is we're going to insert 2 remote events in that folder, and one of them is going to be the update voting system, and the second one is going to be place vote. And lastly, we're going to add another folder, and this should be called values. And yes, this will be put our value instances, so we're going to insert a string value. This should be called the status, and this should be important for that. And we're going to insert a bool value called voting progress. These 3 folders will be very important throughout the video. And now finally we're going to do the scripting for the voting system. Yeah, so let's insert a script, server script service, and we're going to name it main. Now this will be left out for here later. And now we're going to insert a module script in the main script. This should be called the voting module. And that is where we're going to script the voting system. Alright, so first up we're going to make some variables. So we're going to get the status from the values folder. So it's local status equals game.replicate storage.values.status. Then we're going to do is we're going to make another variable called map votes, and this should be a table. And I will explain why. Now, since map votes is actually a table, what we want to do is we want to spawn in 3 tables in that maps folder. And each table is going to gather the 3 properties. The first property will be the order of the map. So each table is going to be a map, so each map will have properties. That is very temporary. The second one is going to be the name of the map, so this will be random pick by the maps folder. So if they random pick grass, and that will be the map name, so the name will be grass. And the third property is going to be the players, and it will be a table in it. So the player is going to be the players that voted that map, so it will be votes. So how many players that voted that map, so it's going to be the number of votes for that map. If we do to copy this 3 times in a different order, different name, and same player, that is what we want. That is what we want, our idea. So let's go ahead and make a module function. So function for that module, so it's going to be map voting, and in the parameter we're going to put duration. I'll tell you why later. So the duration is going to be the length for the map voting system. So we'll use that later. And we're going to start off by clearing off the map votes table. So we're going to make it into a blank table. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a for loop. So for I equals 1, 2, 3. So we're looping this 3 times. So we'll make a for loop right here. Then what we'll do is we're going to do a table dot insert, and we're going to get the map votes table, and we're going to insert a table. And for this we're going to set the order, first one to be the I, so the I will be the number. The second property we'll put is the map name, so the map. So I'm going to make a function for this. So we're going to say function get map that, and then we're going to make this variable in the function. So we're going to make a random map that will get the maps folder, and we're going to randomize it. Game number, get children, that'll be this random 1 to the number of maps. Next up, what we'll add is a for loop. So we'll say for I, map. So map will be the v. So map. We'll make an in pair loop from the map votes table to. So we're gonna say if map dot name is actually equal to the random map dot name. If it is, then we will return a get map right here. Else, if it's not, then we will return the random map dot name for it. So what is this script gonna do is we're going to check if the map from the map votes table is actually similar to the random map. So if it's similar, then we're going to loop it again until it's different. And that is a good thing because we don't want actually same names, same maps for the map vote. So if order 1 picks grass and order 2 if they pick grass, this will be probably strange for you. So we want a script that will loop again and again until we pick a different one. So if order 1 picks grass and if order 2 picks grass again, then no, we can't use that. So we're going to loop it again. And if it picks a different map like snow, that is what we want. That's same thing for order 3. If one of these dudes has the same name as them, then we will loop it again until if it's a different one. So for that, we're going to say map. So I'm going to say a name equals get map function. And the third property is going to be the players, and it's going to be a table. Now, once everything is set up for the map votes table, what we're going to do is we're going to say game.replicatestorage.events.update voting system. We're going to fire all clients, and we're going to use that blank map votes data. So I'm going to say data throughout the video, so it's easier. And I'm going to say game.replicatestorage.values.voting progress.value equals true. Now we have started the voting system. So we're going to leave this off for today because let's go back to the main GUI and we're going to insert a local script in. And this is where we're going to do the client-side version of the map voting system. So first, let's go ahead and make a voting frame variable that will get the voting frame from GUI. So it's this. And then we're going to make a variable called current vote. And our current vote is going to be nil because we haven't voted anything. So the current vote is going to be our vote since it's a local script, a client. Now we have done the variable part. Let's go ahead and make the status part. So we're going to make a get property change signal for the status's value. So we can say status colon get property change signal, and we can say value colon connect to a function like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the status text, and it will update it by the status's value. So like that. And then we're going to copy this and we're just going to do over here because when we first join, we're going to need to update it first. Next up, we're going to do is we're going to do the voting progress value, and we're going to get property change signal for that function. So we can say game.replicate.value.voting progress.value. It's get property change signal value on connect to function. And in that function, we're going to set our current vote to nil. And then what we'll do is we're going to save the voting frame.visible, which is going to be game.replicatestorage.values.voting progress.value. So if the value for the voting progress is true, then it will update our current vote to nil because we started the voting system, and then it will set it to by the value because it's a bool value. It's a false and true values like that. And then we're going to copy this part and then paste it right here. And then we're going to make an if statement. So we're going to say if game.replicatestorage.values.voting progress.value is actually true, then we're going to say game.replicatestorage.events.placeVotes, and we're going to fire the server for it. Now I'll explain why we're going to need that later. So now we're going to make the update system for the GUI. So we're going to say game.replicatestorage.events. update voting system, we're going to make an on-client event function for it. And the function for it is going to be our data, is going to be our map voting data. And first thing we'll do is we're going to make a for in pairs loop for the voting frame. So we're going to say for I button is in pairs, and say voting frame on get show. Next, we're going to make another for in pairs loop for the data, for the map votes data for the map votes. And then now we've done that, let's go ahead and make an if statement that if the button is actually a button, an image button to be exact, and the map dot order is actually equal to the button's dot layout order. So if it is, then we're going to update their the text for the for each pad. So we can say button. So right here, button dot map name dot text, and it's going to be the map dot name. And then this one's going to be the number of votes for the pad. So we can say the number of map dot players. So we're getting a number of votes. And then we're going to make an if statement here. So we'll say if the current vote is equal to the map dot order. So if the current vote is going to be a number value. So if it's equal to that, then we're going to change the border color. So we can say button dot border color 3 equal to color 3 dot from RGB. And I'm going to change it to a greenish color. If it's not, then we're going to set back to the button's original color, so we say 0. Next up, let's go ahead and make a mouse button one click for the pad. So we can say button, mouse button one click, connect to a function. And then we're going to check if the voting progress value is actually true. Do like that. If it is, then we're going to check if the current vote is actually nil, or the current vote is not equal to the button dot layout order that we actually clicked. If it is, then we're going to create a sound effect, and we're going to set our current vote to the button that we clicked dot layout order. And then we're going to do is we're going to say game dot replicate storage dot events dot place vote, and we're going to fire the server for it. And for inside here, we're going to put our current vote. So the place vote is going to replace our vote, our current vote. So this will lead us to the voting module. So we're going to go to that, and let's go ahead and make a variable called local place vote connection. And it's going to be linked to the on server event for our place vote. So connect to a function, and then the function is going to be the player who actually fired it and our their player's current votes. And I'm just going to call it vote number for later. Now we're going to make a for loop for the map votes data. So in pairs map votes 2. Then I'm going to make another for in pairs loop, but this time for the map's player table. So map.players table. And then I'm going to say if p player is actually equal to the player's user ID. So if it is, we're going to remove that player from the map votes. So I'm going to say table.remove. I'm going to say map.players, comma x. And then we're going to break the for loop. So this will check if someone already votes the map. So we're going to remove the players from it if they already voted, and then we're going to place it with a new vote. So we can say make a for loop for the map votes data again. And then we're going to check if map.order is actually equal to the player's current vote. So if it is, then we're going to insert the player's user ID from the map.player. So it can be table.insert map.players to the player.user ID. By the way, you can change the user IDs to the name. It doesn't have to be user ID for it. but I would like it user ID because why not? Just like it. And then finally, we're going to end it off by updating the voting system GUI by firing our clients to it. So in other words, update voting system, fire our clients, and then we're gonna send the client to our updated map votes data. And once we've done that, let's go ahead and make the timer for it. So we can say for I equals duration right here equals 0 minus 1 2. So we're making a for loop, so it's a timer. And what we're going to do is we're going to update the status value. So we're going to make the message what we see from the start of the video. So this will say you have space I seconds to vote. And then we're going to end it off by attacks.wait. By the way, I do want to add something because when you reach 1, it will actually say you have 1 seconds to vote. Now this sounds a bit strange because what I want is if the I hits 1, I want the text to say you have 1 second to vote instead of you have 1 seconds to vote. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We can say you have this I we're quoted and space it and then we're gonna put 2 parentheses in it, and this parenthesis right here is going to say I is actually equals to 1. I'm going to say and vote second, and then for this parenthesis we're going to say or seconds, and then we can say to vote. Now what this thing we'll do is we're going to check if I is actually equal to 1. If it is, we're going to change it to second, so it'll be 1 second. If it's not, there will be like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. If it's 1 second. Now if the for loop has ended the for loop, then what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect our place vote connection, and then we're going to set our voting progress value to false. And then what we're going to do is we're going to gather the votes, and we're going to we're going to do table.sort, and we're going to get the map votes will be our table we want to sort, and it's going to be a function to A to B. So what we want is we're going to sort the votes, so we're going to sort the number of players from that map. So we can say return the number hashtag A dot players greater than the number of B dot players. And now I want to explain what this table.sort do. So this is, for example, our map vote. So when we insert something in our map votes, it will create an index. So 1 2 3, and these are these random players, and these players just voted what kind of map they want. Now if they ended the voting system, then what will this table.sort do is we will gather the votes from greatest to least. So what this order will kind of do is it will switch the table. So what it will do, it will change the indexes for each table while we sort it from greatest to least. So it will change the index, so right here. Now since we want our table.sort to be the greatest to least, the first index will be the greatest number of votes. So if 3 people voted this one, that is our greatest vote. So we want the first index to be the winner for it. So the first index, the greatest vote.
However,
you may be thinking, what if all of the maps have the same vote? Now table.sort will be a bit confusing a bit. So instead of the voting sorting the votes, the same votes, if like 2 people voting the same vote, this will vote the alphabetical order instead of the number. So if it's the same votes, it will be the alphabetical order. So that means desert will be the winner of it. So desert will be because desert is like the 4th letter. So that is not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to check if all the indexes that has the same votes for each map. We want to random pick all 3 maps, and same thing for 2 paths. If 2 paths have the same votes, then that will random pick the top 2. I mean, that is what we want. Of course, you can just say local winner, and then we can say winner is equal to the map votes on 1. But that's not what we want. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something a bit different. We're gonna make an if statement that we're gonna say if the number of votes from the first map is actually equal to the number of votes from the second map, and also the number of votes from the second map is equal to the number of votes from the third map. Now if it is, then we're going to say winner equals map votes, and then we can say map.random 1 through 2. So it's going to random pick all 3 maps. Now whatever else, if if 2 paths have the same votes, if 2 maps have like the same votes, then what we'll do is we're going to copy this part, but it's 2. So we're random picking the top 2 maps. However, if all the votes have different each other's, then we're going to say winner map votes 1. Then we're going to update the status to announce the winner. So we can say winner.name ... was chosen. So this is going to be our chosen map. And then finally, let's end it off by a return to the game.repository.maps find first child, and we're going to say the winner.name. And that is the module for the map voting system. Alright, let's go back to the main script, and then we're going to get a variable for the voting module. So voting required script.voting. Now we're going to make a while true do loop, and then we're going to make a variable called local chosen map, and then we're going to say voting dot map voting. And inside is going to be the duration for the map voting system. So I'm going to say 20 seconds. You could pick anything like 30, 40. I'm going to say 20 seconds. Next, we're going to make another variable that will clone the chosen map. So chosen map clone. And then I'm just going to do some properties like changing the name to officially called map. And I'm going to parent it to workspace. Then I'm going to keep the maps for like 3 seconds, and then clone map, gonna destroy it, and the cycle continues. And that is the map voting system in a GUI. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and test it, shall we? Alright, so as you may see, I have this pad right here. I have 10 seconds, so I'm gonna pick like desert, yeah, for that. And I'm gonna wait for like 5 seconds. I can change whatever I want. And as you can see, desert was actually chosen, so that's a chosen map. Now, since the map voting system works fine as usual, let's go ahead and take it to the next level. Now, if you want to add spawns to your map and get all the players to teleport on that map, then it's simple. It's just a part and just name it spawn and just make it visible and create a and that's our spawn, and I'm gonna put it in our grass map, and I'm gonna do the same thing for each map. Now I'm gonna put these back in the maps folder. Now in the main script, we're going to say if clone map is find first child if they have the spawn part. Now if it is, then what are we gonna do? We're gonna make a for loop for IV in pairs game.players get players do. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check if v and v is a character. If it is, I'm gonna make some variables that will get the character. And I'm gonna get the humanoid root part. I'm just gonna say root short, say child, which is gonna be the humanoid root pot. And what I'm gonna say root.cframe is gonna be equal to the clone map spawn. Alright, so I'm not gonna vote anything for the map, so this is gonna be like a test. Now, if it's 0 seconds, the snow is chosen. I got teleported by the snow map, and that's how you teleport your players to the chosen map from the map voting system. Now, if you want to add pictures to your map voting system, well, buddy, you're gonna need a photographer for it. Now, for this one, I'm going to make an attribute called image ID. That's going to be in a property which I'm going to place my image IDs for that map. Alright, so I have uploaded all the maps. Now they're still loading as usual, so you may not see it later, maybe now throughout the video. So as you notice, we're going to use these IDs from the URL, adding image for our voting system. Okay, so this ID is going to be the grass map, so we're going to copy this, then find our grass map, and we'll put it right over here. Same thing for the others. If it's desert map, I'm going to copy it. Go to desert, I'm going to copy this one right here, go back right here, copy that, snow, bam. That is how you add your image IDs to store in your maps. I'm going to put them back over here. Now I'm going to go set my visibility for the voting frame, and then it's actually possible to just test your images over here. So I'm gonna just grab my grass image and just paste them over here, so we can just, as you can see, it's not really perfect, but it's just right here. So that is I'm just gonna change it to my transparency here, so it's a bit subtle. So that is what my map's gonna look like. So here, and now since my image buttons for the pads are actually image, we can easily store them right here. So let's go ahead and do some coding. Now, in this if statement right over here, we're going to make another if statement again, and we're going to say if game.redfitstorage.maps, find first child is the map.name. Now if it is, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this partial amount of code, I'm going to tab it, and then I'm going to put an end statement here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable called local map info is equal to the find first child right here. So this will make more information for our map. And what is actually cool is we can actually have access to our attribute over here. So what are we gonna do? I'm gonna say button.image is, we're going to say our RBX asset ID slash, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the map info, and then we can say get attribute to the image ID, and that's definitely it. That's how you add image. So let's go ahead and test it, shall we? Okay, so I can't really show the pictures for testing, so here's what it's supposed to look like actually. As you can see, there's a grass, there's a snow, there's a desert image. So yeah, so that's how you add images to your map voting system. By the way, if you don't really want to add like this whole image stuff, what I would recommend is to you add like a text image label right here. So right here, I'm gonna center to the pads position for a bit, and then size it to make it a bit square. All right, that's right. Okay, I'm just gonna remove some transparency for a bit, remove this creepy ass image, and that's your image label. I'm just gonna keep it like that. Then I will do is I'm gonna do the same thing for each and every pad, and then I'm gonna change the coding a bit. So instead of button.image, we can say button.image label.image, and that is how you add an image, but in a crop version. And that is all for today's video. You can experiment some more features in this voting system, but if you enjoy, make sure you like the video. Otherwise, subscribe for more Roblox Studio content. I will see you next video. Peace out.